welcome back to the Full Financial Show. I'm Chika. I'm joined by Fran.
Hi, Chika. How you doing? How's it going over there?
Yeah, everything is fine. For our viewers, if you're watching us, please smack that like button, subscribe, comment. If you want us to talk about any player or any happening event, just let us know, and then just drop the comments below. Let's quickly go. Arsenal last season they had the best defense in the Premier League. Yes, Liverpool might have run away with the title, and I think as early as February it was clear Liverpool were going to win the Premier League title. But as Arsenal were still solid, and what people don't really say last season is that I know everybody had injuries, but Arsenal had injury to Havertz, to Gabriel Jesus, to
Saka.
Saka, and then
What?
Odegaard.
Yeah,
Odegaard, yeah, yeah. By the time Gabriel had injury, it didn't really matter. So,
yeah.
but what I'm trying to say is that if you look at the team, the problem I'm having this season is that maybe it's because Arsenal have been perennial unachievers because they've consistently let everybody down for years now. Nobody's really talking about them because if they added Gyokeres for the first time, not for the first time, but in a very long while, it's hardly any player. If I tell you the stats I have right here, which I'm going to
No,
give
no,
to
no,
our
no.
viewers about.
I was looking at it because when you go on stat sheets and you see some players is green, some is a bit reddish. Gyokeres is green.
It's,
The
it's
la-
both for see. I was checking up that many of the stats was club and country. I'm like, this is the first time I've seen them top club and country for. Normally they always talk about club. So when they
yeah,
start talking
yeah.
about club and country, it tells you that he's. They say 12 goals in 12 games for Sweden since last summer. 12
No,
in 12
and
for country.
again, he scores because obviously his national teammates with Isaac. He scores more than Isaac does for Sweden.
Sweden. Ah. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Alanga, Isaac. Alanga,
And
Isaac. And
Isaac
damn,
Gyokeres.
that's the massive thing.
Yeah.
That's the massive
So
thing.
it's let's talk about like I think
So do
it's
you think do you
already
think do you think do you think their title, because to me I think Arsenal is better than they were last season.
I
What do
don't
you
think
think?
so. I don't think
Okay,
so.
why don't why don't
Okay, because if you how do you look at it? Because a lot of people looked at Arsenal and said the biggest issue Arsenal had last season, they lacked a clinical striker. And I felt it wasn't just a clinical striker they lacked quality attackers. And obviously that's not really a striker as well, but it's not just I didn't see that I didn't see that as a situation where you put in a number nine, and all the issues go away. Because you still have to create high quality chances for that striker, and you still have to. And of course, if you get a good striker, strikers can create that goal out of nothing. But I think when you look at guys like Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Kai Havertz, that is I think Saka is doing a lot of heavy lifting in the Arsenal attack, but and has been doing for the last 2 years. So even if you bring a striker, I think of course he'll score goals. And now they've got Gyokeres. I expect Gyokeres to score minimum 20 Premier League goals. Anything under 20, it's a failure, in my opinion. It's anything under 20 Premier League goals is a bad season for him. I'm not talking about all comes. I'm talking about 20 non-penalty goals next
Yeah,
season.
because he had 39 in 33
Yeah,
games for
because
Sporting. Yeah, he should
because because
definitely get 20 Premier League goals.
because unlike guys like Sesko or even Nico Jackson or a guy like Rasmus Højlund, they're not coming. They didn't go to those clubs with a record of goal scoring. Like if you look at Goico's record in the Portuguese league in the last 2 years, and if you want to add international football as well, his goal scoring record is better than everybody else in Europe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So so and of course if you bring a guy that has this record of goal scoring, you expect him to come and solve some of those issues. But the problem I have with okay, if you look at the details of the team that Arteta has built, first of all, Arteta really likes Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz.
Mm.
I'm not going to say. I think okay. I'll put it this way: first Premier League game of the season, I expect Kai Havertz to start ahead of Gyokeres.
Kai Havertz is the first Premier League game. I feel so.
And and how they go from that is going to be interesting to see how they go. But at the same time, it's also important to know, like, okay, the way Gyokeres played in Sporting, mostly under Ruben Amorim and how Amorim played with the strikers. Amorim's team was very direct in terms of how they play football. They basically bypassed the midfield when every time they could. So they were always going long to and they went long to Gyokeres. He's a very good has very good hold up play, can bring the ball down. He runs I think he runs better than any striker I've seen in a long time. He runs the channels better than any striker. He runs that defense. He attacks like a winger where he gets the ball on that channel. He runs into the box. He runs at defenders, and his shooting is amazing. Right foot, left foot. He has it all. He's not. I think the obvious weakness in his game is his heading ability. He doesn't. I don't think he didn't
Yeah,
score a lot
yeah.
of goals. I
I
think
have the stat. I have the stats here.
yeah.
The one header in the last 68 games. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
so it
Out
so
of his last 68 goals, only one header. Out of his
yeah,
last
and
68 goals, only one header.
yeah,
That
so
means
it's
1.16 goal. That's 1.16 goals per game, and he scored only one header, which is very very poor. Yeah.
which is so it's but it has that. But again, I think it's almost. I think the closest comp is Erling Haaland and how Haaland goes to Man City and the striker and the team they've had to find a way to get the best out of that guy. Where you see they've it's almost like the team had to change to service that striker. And I think is Arsenal or is Arteta willing to give to change, not necessarily change the whole makeup of the team or the team's principles, but adjust certain details in that team
But
building, how they
but it
play
creates a problem.
to help that striker.
It creates a
Yeah,
problem for Kai Havertz. So where does he play Kai Havertz? Because if you spend this kind of money on Gyokeres, that means he has to start week in, week out. Even if you start starting him in October, I don't think October
because
is too far. Let's say September. If he starts, because he has to take time to adjust. So when he
yeah,
starting him, so he takes him off to bring in Kai Havertz. What do you think?
and again, like this, I think there's a way you can play two of them at the same time, but that means you have to sacrifice and Odegaard, for example. I don't think you can fit Gyökeres, Kai Havertz, and Odegaard into the same lineup. It's if you want to really make sense. But again, getting back to the point where you talk about Arsenal's overall quality, I don't think Odegaard's position in that team is safe. Going off last season's performances, he either needs to find himself again and improve the level, or I expect him to be found on the bench at some point. But it's
But can Kai
because
Havertz play that position in some games? Do you think so?
but but that's been the question of with Kai Havertz. Because again, let's not forget when he signed for Chelsea, he didn't come in as a number nine. He came in as an attacking player just behind the striker or alongside the striker. But as the season went on, with Thomas Tuchel coming in, he valued Kai Havertz off the ball movement, his pressing ability, how he works hard for the team. Which to his credit, he does it. He does that amazingly well. But at the same time, he lacks. I think overall he lacks creative. Lacks creative function.
Last creative for
To
sure,
say
yeah. And
least.
he doesn't have
It's
really
not.
have flair. He doesn't really have flair.
It's not, I would say he's not exactly a playmaker. So basically if you're playing with Havertz and Gokos, you're basically playing with two in a way you're being playing with two target men, guys that are not and even if you were to make that experiment, do you have enough time between now and the season starting to experiment those little details? And so it's very but again, I think it solved Arsenal's one of Arsenal a lot the problem a lot of Arsenal fans felt they have. I disagree with it. They wanted a striker, they've gotten one now. And it will be interesting to see how he performs because again, his goal scoring record is
Let me
beyond
give
amazing.
let me open up to or let me give more context to our viewers. Victor Gyokeres, 85 goals in 91 appearances since 2023 summer when he joined Sporting Lisbon in 2023. 12 goals in his last 12 for Sweden. He has scored 42 goals in 42 games since last summer. 42 in 42, goals in 42 games since last summer. He scores a goal every 75 minutes for club and country since last summer. And hold on, 16 assists since last summer for club and country. That gives you 0.22 expected assists. If you think that is high, look at his chances per game. His chances per game is 1.99 per game. That is massive in the Portuguese league. Then you look at his this is what is bad. The problem with his game statistically is his crossing 16.7. I always bring it up even if it's a striker because sometimes you can go to the wing and you're expected to cross the ball. That's why I always you can say yes, it doesn't play on the
Yeah,
wing, but with this style of play, just like you look at
it's
PSG style of play where they rotate the striker. So sometimes even as a striker you might have to go on the wing.
yeah.
And then his shot accuracy is 58% shot accuracy. That is high. I think the person that had this was I think the closest I've seen was Elanga. Elanga has high 48 or 49. Elanga non-Madueke is high. I think not is like 47, but I think this is the highest I've seen. Kudus wasn't high last season, was like 27. I was surprised. 1.22 goals per 90 and then two shots on target, 2.57 shots on target per game. That is massive. The
Yeah.
closest person I
And
saw this wins the Bayer Liverpool sign.
I
Yeah,
mean,
continue.
and in terms of his non penalty XG, non penalty XG and his non penalty and expected assist is 0.92 per 90 minutes. That's basically a goal or assist every 90 minutes on average.
Hmm.
And like again, if you compare those numbers to the best strikers like Lewandowski, the guys like even Erling Haaland, it puts him in that category. And again, I know there's a conversation about his environment in the Portuguese league. Because if you look at like these same numbers when he was in the championship in England, it was at 0.56. So it's basically almost double those numbers since he went to Portugal. But the question then becomes, can he translate that goal scoring or this goal scoring record to the Premier League? Because again, I don't think if like goal scoring is an art, you don't just because you travel across a country doesn't mean you lose the art of goal scoring. But what normally happens is what makes you an effective striker, like say your pace or the ability to create openings for yourself. Those variables changes. So I don't. It will be interesting to see how he performs in Premier League because but I still feel he will get chances, and when you get chances in that as this Arsenal team, and with his record of goal scoring, I expect him to finish. But
But
again, it
you look
then
at yeah, finish up.
yeah, no, go, 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 go.
You look at the team, Gyokeres, Mosquera, who I really trust, Noni Madueke, that is two signings now. You look at Zubimendi. Man, Arsenal have done so well in this transfer window. You look at the guy from Brentford. What's his name? What's the Brentford guy?
Nogal, Nogal,
Nogard. You
Christian
look at
Nogal,
Nogard.
yeah.
So you look at Arsenal. Gyokeres, Mosquera, Noni Madueke, Zubimendi, Nogard, and then Kepa. These are seven players they've signed. Is Gabriel Jesus back to training or he's still injured?
He's still injured. Because again, it's important like Arsenal, they are trying to close that gap between Man City and Liverpool. Of course, Man City they had a very poor season by their standards last year, so they are trying to get. But at the same time, do you think you said they've done good business? I still look at it that this. I think okay, Gyokeres is good for that for the price. That's good. Zubimendi, that's a deal they've had in the making for almost more than 6 months now. But I think the big question mark is Noni Madueke because that's the player very few people expected Arsenal to even, or very few people imagine Arsenal will be interested in that player, let alone signing him. And what role is he coming to fill in this Arsenal starting level? Is he coming to be a backup to Saka, and you keep Martinelli and Trossard on the other wing, which I don't think either of those two are enough per se to. I don't think that quality is quite. They are good players in their own right, but I don't think they're not the level, to be honest. Because I still look at it, I still think they need more. They need,
I
and
think
with
they
the
lack
links,
depth.
I think the link.
Like I think they lack depth.
It's not
But 11
no
against 11,
because
11 against 11, they can match anybody. If you have
Yeah,
Mikel
they can.
Moreno,
No,
in
yeah, yeah, they
11
can.
against
Yeah, they
11,
can.
if Gyokeres is the striker he's telling us he is, or we feel he's going to
Or
be,
he's or
if you look at their left
the,
with Saliba, with Gabriel, with Ben White, with Raya, who's the left back with Miles Kelly, which I feel is going to be better. You bring in Zubimendi. Yes, they lost party, but they brought in Zubimendi and then they brought in Odegaard. No, Odegaard is in the team. Rice, look at Saka, look at Noni or Martinelli, whoever starts. The problem is when you start bringing some of, like for Liverpool, for example, look at Scottish Jones, you look at Szoboszlai, who might me on the bench, look at Gakpo. These players can easily start for any team. You look at Curtis Jones, for example. You look at Gakpo. Let's assume they keep Diaz. You look at Gakpo. You look at Curtis Jones. You look at who's the third person. You look at Harvey Elliott. Let's even. I'm just giving you right now.
if he
You look at
remains
Harvey.
plus,
You look at
then the guy is
Szoboszlai.
then the guy is
Yeah.
invalid
So
this season.
yeah, you look at them. So to me, they have a better bench than what, because if you I don't know who's the goal. You look at the goalkeeper of Liverpool, highly rated. Kepa and I don't care how much Kepa was signed by Chelsea, was 70 something million. But if something happens
Yeah,
to Raya, Liverpool, Arsenal is in a problem. So I
yeah,
don't think. Yeah, continue.
I think like because I think in the like from in the beginning you said like, Arsenal. I think Arsenal are probably the best team defensively, the best unit in Premier League defensively. And I think they have defensive covers in in they have defensive covers across the back line. Because again, like if you lose your starting goalkeeper, that is obviously a massive downgrade. But with Kepa, it's like Kepa is capable. It's not again like my opinions about the goalkeeper at Chelsea. It's that a way, but I think in a way he's rehabbed his reputation at Bournemouth. I still don't rate him as a good goalkeeper, but as a backup, he's not bad. Sorry, as a backup, he's not bad. But again, so when you get past the defense, you go into midfield. Moreno still has question marks about him as a midfielder in the Premier League. Odegaard didn't have a good season last year. Rice, I think Rice is Rice. Declan Rice is fantastic on it. I think Rice is a 7 to 8 out of 10 every day. Like if you wake him up, he's giving you 7 or 8. But even as good as Zubimendi is, or he's been sold to be, we've not seen him. There's still a question mark on his head about how can he play in the Premier League. Because again, it's not just how good you are, but can you play? Can you be? Can you be? Can you make an impact in the Premier League? There's still a question mark there. The guys on the left wing, Martinelli, Trossard, Noni Madueke, that is like that's not good enough. So again, so you still come back to a situation where it's Saka. I think Saka obviously is amazing. Gyokeres, if you say Gyokeres comes and is a very capable goal scorer, that's good. But again, I think if those two can hit really high numbers, I think that could be enough for Arsenal in the Premier League alone. But the problem then becomes what happens when Premier League happens, when the games happen, the games are coming thick and fast. You have to rotate, injuries. How do you manage? Because again, when once you got to, and again, I know a lot of Arsenal fans will feel, Arsenal fans felt they were hard done by a lot of refereeing decisions last season, which, to be honest, some of the decisions they got against them were criminal, in my opinion. But at the same time, when it came down to those games, that were games that they either they drew or lost, where they needed a bit more quality, they didn't have it. Either because a player was missing, or they didn't just have enough, or they didn't do enough on the day, or players didn't perform well. So it's but again, because I think the target for any team trying to win the Premier League should be 90 points. And I don't think
Hmm.
Arsenal have enough to get. I don't think Arsenal have enough to get 90 points. But then again, it could be a situation where you don't have to get 90 points because everybody's just every. I think it just every team in the top. I'll say the top five. They've almost improved. They've made some signs. Either they've changed the manager or they brought in players. So I expect City to be better. I expect Chelsea to be good. I expect Arsenal to be themselves. United, that's I'm not so sure yet. But you expect teams to take. But I expect teams to take points off each other. So it might not be a 90 season. It could be a 82, 85. I think if it's I think they can get 82, 85 points if everything goes that way. Injuries, fitness, they get a bit of luck. with officiating. So it's be interesting to see. But I just feel, but just last, I feel the right outside the team makeup and the tactics. I think Arsenal need to believe they can win the Premier League, and I think that
Yeah, yeah,
mentality. I think in a way that mentality has not quite been right. I think well, we saw with Chelsea last season when the coach started were not in a title race, they affected them and they affected the mentality, and we saw how it affected results. I think Arsenal need to again what's happened has happened. You can talk about refereeing decisions being unfair or whatnot, but at the same time you have to get past that victimhood, which in a way they're right about it, but they need to get past it. You need champions win.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
that should be the motto: champions win.
I think
Injuries,
I think
bad decisions.
this is Ateta's last season. I think so because if he doesn't win anything, context is important. If he doesn't win the Premier League, if he wins something else, but I just think
I don't.
it depends on how he ends the season. You can't spend. He's been building. I'm not putting the pressure on him, but with what Liverpool have done, just let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say. If Ateta
Yeah,
ends this season trophless again, and let's assume Chelsea goes out next the Carling Cup, the League Cup. Now, Ateta has been there for.
yeah,
I'm just giving you scenarios of having. I feel he has to win something. I don't really feel the Premier League is going to be very important, but it depends on how he ends it. If he gets to the semi-final again of the Champions League, which I won't be surprised if they make it to the semi-final because I think they have a solid team. But back to what I wanted to say before I end it all, when I see people criticize Noni Madueke, I sometimes I'm forced to come to his defense. It might not be what it might not. You can feel he's. I don't think he's. If you look at, I don't think as a player he's worth the money they've invested. But if you look at the money they've spent, the market price of every other player, then it's just like
yeah.
Jackson, for
I think
example.
it's
I
yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the fair value for Jackson to me is 45. But if you look at how much each other player is costing, how they are spending is becoming 50, 60. You look at what Jackson is doing, look at what Sesko. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because if you're telling me that Sesko is worth 60 million, that means Jackson has to be. You understand what I'm saying? It's the market
Yeah,
forces that are determining.
and yeah, and again, if, and in the era we are in, where I think I believe a lot of clubs rely heavy on the data, and when you look at because just playing, a lot of people ask, they always like, oh, how do Chelsea always find a way to sell these players? Not just they look for not just sell, but sell for big money. Because some of these players might not be good at Chelsea, or they might not be the great at Chelsea. But then again, if you look at the statistical data around this, like take Noni Madueke for example, if you look at the data around Noni Madueke, where in terms of his progressive carries, we talked about it on our previous recording. Everything about him screams this guy has what it takes to be an elite wide attacking player in the Premier League. The problem is the margins. Okay, the final decision making. If you can get him to maximize his output, even if it's by 5%, that's already
Yeah.
that's somewhere that's a 20 goal and assist player a season in the Premier League. He has those tools, he has those fundamentals to make it. The same thing with Jackson. Okay, a lot of people I think we'll talk about Jackson a bit further, but I think if you look at it, what's the value of I think Jackson has about 25 Premier League goals in 2 seasons. What's the value of 25 Premier League goals in 2 seasons? I think that's somewhere around 50 million already. If we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
guys if we're talking about Wissers and Elanga's going for 40, 55, even Brendan Johnson going for I think it was about 45 a few years ago.
45, 45 years.
Like playing for Chelsea, having shown you can play for Chelsea and being I'll say being somewhat good
Solanke
at
went for
Chelsea.
60 million. Solanke
Exactly.
went for
So
60
exactly. So,
years.
so and when you look at it, and when you just the fact that you've played in Premier League, I know I'm not saying Premier League proving, but the fact that you have that, because when you look at the data around this player, like we talk about Gyokeres is data, but you have to put that caveat. Okay, but this is the Portuguese league. But when you look at Jackson in terms of his statistics, that's in the Premier League. That's it matters when it comes to the price of these players. And again, Chelsea always have a way of selling these players. Finding a way to get the maximum out of these players. But with Noni, I think a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of the backlash around that transfer was more. the fact they're signing a player from Chelsea. I think that's a lot of it came from okay, like why are we signing another player? Chelsea has spent on a few attackers already. Why are we signing a player that seem to be on the bench going into next season? Why are we doing that business? But again, if you look at Arteta's history with white players, Saka's, Martinelli, all the way back to even Sterling, Sane, and Maris, I was able to gauge them on another level and get the best out of those players individually over a season. And if you add that to Nani's game, refine his performances, refine his decision making, streamline his shot taking, gets him to maximize his progressive carries, maximize his shooting ability off either feet. Sorry, off his left foot. And at the same time, you have a capable replacement for Saka that comes in that knows the Premier
Saka,
League.
yeah.
Is I believe Nani is a hungry guy. He wants. I think he desperately wants to make an impact, but sometimes it
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
off the wrong way. Like so, if you can channel all those little details in the right way, get him. And I think Arsenal right now have a fantastic environment. So he's going into a fantastic
Yeah, yeah.
environment.
It's a way better. Even right
So
now, it's a
unlike
way better environment than Chelsea. Yeah,
so
yeah,
on so unlike the Chelsea environment when Noni initially walked into a few seasons ago when it was basically a house on fire with multiple kids in
because
it
if
sleeping.
for you to realize, I don't really think Havertz improved when he moved to Arsenal. But if you watch this it's to me it's the same player. I don't think he has really improved. But if you look
No,
his
it's just
impact
because
at Arsenal, is way better. You understand the
it's
structure is
because
already there. Chelsea
the team
is
the
for
team is better.
individual. Yeah,
The team is better. The team is well
but
coached. They
spend
have
on
that
it is
consistency.
better.
You have that structure. So I think again, just because I didn't like what happened with him off the whole situation. So I hope he does well, but not too well for Arsenal.
So let's go to the next one. How do you think Manchester United search? Who should Manchester United be looking for as regards their search for a striker? What do you think they should do?
Well, so in recent
Hold on,
days
I'll
and
be right
recent
with
yeah, in the last few days, they've been linked to Oli Watkins, Nicolas Jackson from Chelsea, and Benjamin Sesko as the three options they could be targeting. I think first of all I think financially, I think the easiest deal to get done here is the Oli Watkins deal because I think you can get that situation where you can get. I think Aston Villa are open to selling for a very reasonable price, and you can also get a swap situation with either Garnacho or one of those other players. And Chelsea seemingly want to move on Nicolas Jackson, so you can get that. You can get Chelsea to come to the table and make a fair deal. But I think Benjamin Sesko will cost a lot because RB Leipzig they've seemed bent on getting maximum profit at maximum returns out of this guy. But I feel I think for them right now, I think a striker as much as they need one, I don't think a striker should really be a higher priority than a guy in midfield. I think they need a midfielder more than they need another striker. And in terms of so I'm looking to see if I can get a deal for one of those for a guy like a guy like Jackson. If you can take Jackson on a Sancho type of situation where you get him on loan with an obligation to sign, that would be interesting. Watkins, that's doable as well. I think if you can get an Ollie Watkins and Ollie Watkins, Brian Mbeumo, and Matheus Cunha, that is a very good Premier League attack. If they can somehow manage to get Ollie Watkins in, I think that attack will take them up the table. It could take them all the way into the top half of the table because again they finished 15th last season, so it's I think anywhere if they'll be targeting somewhere in the top 10 this season. But I think with United, a lot of their issues reside not just with the players they have, but I think more with the tactical framework they have with Ruben Amorim and how he platforms the team and how he platforms certain players in the team. Like for one, Kobe Mino not being a regular starter in this team, that's a huge worry for me. Bruno Fernandez in the midfield too. is another worry for me. Ugarte as well, Casemiro, those guys have their issues. Either they have you're back, yeah.
Yeah, my
So
battery was
because I
running.
was yeah, yeah, it's okay. So I'll just give you a rundown what I was saying. So we talked about Jackson,
No,
Sesko,
I
and Oli
was listening to
Watkins.
you. I was listening to you.
Okay,
You
okay.
were talking
So
about
listen,
no, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to react, I think the best option would be Watkins because I think with Oli Watkins you get the complete package. You get the he's a mature striker. He knows, and I think United. I think in the last they've gone with in the last year they've gone with the Holland, Sexy. The guys are quite a bit too young to carry the burden of a United striker, so it's in a way affected that game. But I think with Watkins, you get a guy that is well seasoned. He knows the Premier League. He's a guy that can play across the front line as well. He presses well. He creates chances for his teammates. He takes on a lot of shots. Not, I think his shot conversion percentage is a bit not bad, but it's a bit underwhelming. But he does take a lot of shots. He creates for his teammates as well. But I think Jackson also falls in that same category. And Jackson's obviously younger, but and I think with Jackson, the drawback with Jackson is probably the finishing or the lack thereof. But I feel
Which
in
no
a way
one
I
knows.
feel that yeah, I know, but in a way I feel that has been I think that's been overblown by the Chelsea situation because a lot of Chelsea fans seem to there's been this like you know what I'm talking about. But I think with
Yeah.
Jackson, so I think the highest praise I can give to him is the fact that when his relationship with Kopama and how Kopama has played well, or how Kopama tends to play well when he's playing with Jackson. And if you have guys, if you have Konya and Bremo, and you get Jackson in between them, you already have two guys that they scored a lot of goals last season. Those two guys can be the finishers in the team, and you just get Jackson to be the link between all three to do the pressing, the associative play between the attacking team, so between his teammates. And you don't necessarily rely on him to score the goals per se, but of course, but at the same time, I know I think if he goes to United and he doesn't and he shows more or less of what he showed at Chelsea, I don't think that'll be good enough. So I think Sesko, like my Sesko, I personally don't particularly rate this guy. I don't know what's like. I don't know what RB Leipzig has what they've seen, but the numbers that are demanding for that striker, I don't think he's worth it. I think I'll stay far away. I'll stay as clear away from Sesko as possible. And worst case situation, you know what? Being like because again they have no European football. They have Zexi, Hoyland, and they have the young guy Chidobe.
Mm.
I would I won't be surprised if they go into next season without signing another striker.
I
Because
don't
if you
think they
have
will. I don't think. I think they will sign another striker because this is the reason why I feel so. If you
but do they
listen
need
to, if you,
I know, but do they need another striker?
it's not about today. I get you, but it's not really about do they need another striker. This is the reason why I feel they're gonna sign another striker. The way they've made Holland look, the way they don't even put him in the picture. I know he underwhelmed in his second season at United. They
Yeah,
keep linking him with Italian club. He said he wants to stay. It's like they want him out. So that tells me. Then they keep insisting that Chudobi is a young player. He's too early. In as much as he's young, how old is he? Up to 17? How old is
no, I
Chudobi?
think Chidobe is 18.
Yeah. So he's young. I get it. He might be young, but I don't really think
Yeah.
he's good enough.
No,
What do you
no,
think? I don't really think he's good
no,
enough. Because I've watched him. I can't tell you this is what he's good at. Understand what I'm trying? Yeah,
no,
he's
no.
young. But hold on. Understand what I'm trying to say? I get it. He's young, right? Some people develop late, right? I was reading about a Colombian attacking player, Arias. I think it's John Arias. I was writing
John,
about
yeah,
him.
John Alias.
Yeah, he did become a regular starting player till 23 years old. Drogba did not become a regular starting player till he was close to 24 years old. So some players take time to be good. Henry said he was normal at the age of, he was just a regular player at the age of 22, if, no matter how great he is. But at the same time, we've seen players do it at 17, 18, 19. So now, why am I
Yeah,
saying that? I've watched him in some
okay,
games. Let me give you an
but he
example. What
showed
I'm trying.
promise.
Remember when Chelsea were
He
saying?
showed promise
Remember when Chelsea were selling? We're trying. We're thinking of selling. Signing a strike. Petrovic. I told you, if the new goalkeeper from Holland is as good as they say, I've never, not from Holland, from Belgium, I've never watched him
from
in,
Belgium, yeah.
what's his name again?
Penders,
What's Mendes? If
Mike
he's really
Penders.
that good,
Yeah.
then Chelsea should give him a chance, maybe in the League Cup or whatever. And he said no, he should go on loan. But he has gone on loan to Strasbourg,
Strasbourg.
and I
Yeah,
and I think he'll be starting in Strasbourg, right? Now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
because I feel it's not about the age. I think he's that good. Now, Achidobi, I've watched him like 3 games or 4 games. He didn't do anything. So I'm thinking, in as much as he's a young player, but it seems he's not all that good at the moment. So if he's not all that good at the moment, I think they need a striker. And if you buy Mbuemo and buy Cunha, then you don't start with Chidobi because you are wasting
Okay,
Mbuemo and Cunha. So you have to win all in now. Understand what I'm trying to
mm,
say? So right
no,
now you
yeah, okay,
have to win.
okay. No, okay, which again, which is true, but but the problem then is okay. If you we're not quite sure. United, I don't think United have unlimited resources to send another striker, and I don't think they have other pressing issues in that team that is not in number nine. That midfield, the midfield composition, I don't think is good enough. There's the Onana situation, and possibly, and probably another defender or another wing back. So if you can't move Hoyland or Zexi, I don't see another striker going into that team. So even if it's a loan for any of those players, say you move Rasmus Hoyland to Italy or Inter Milan, or say Roma or Atlanta for on a year loan, you can bring in another player. And at the same time, they're still trying to get rid of the Garnachos, the Sancho, Anthony, and
That
those
club
kind of
is poorly
guys.
run. It's poorly run. I listened
No,
to
it's
to
true. No,
I
no, no,
listened
it's
to, I
true. It's true.
listened to, I listened to the coach saying that if no club wants to take the
Yeah,
three
I saw.
I'm like,
Yeah, they might.
are you just saying it right now? You've been
Yeah,
calling for these guys to go. Like, what are you talking about? You're the ones that say
um,
you don't have this, you don't have place for these players. He said he would rather play his goalkeeper than play Rashford, which I
yeah.
found. If I'm an owner, you shouldn't be saying those kind of things right now. Then you want to say now you want to absorb them back to the team. Well, no, no, give me a break.
No, no, no. But again, I think with United, it's a lesson in how to devalue your assets, because again, you can't in one hand say, you know what, Rashford, Garnacho, you will never play for the club again. We'll banish you. You won't play in the first team. You train aside. But at the same time, we want X amount from them. They are valuable players. We want to sell them for the most we can sell. Like any buying club, it just has to just wait. They know you have two options. Either you sell them or you accept any offer that comes to them, or you find a way to integrate them back into the first team. And how does that help the club going forward? I don't think Garnacho, because when he made that statement, I was like, okay, they might actually keep Garnacho for another season, because they're saying, you know what, there's very few clubs that are convinced about him. So we keep him for another year and see what happens in the next 6 months. But at the same
But
time,
you
they have
can't
a
keep him
bid
for
for.
another year with all his antics. Like, but they are all over the place. Where are you? You told him he's not part of your team. Immediately after the Champions League or whatever, he goes and
Yeah,
wears Marcus Rashford, Aston Villa jersey, and you want to bring him back to the fold. So now look at Chelsea, for example. They've told Sterling is not part of the team. They've told Zaz is not part of the team. They've told Chua is not part of the team. These 3 players, there are some other players. But even if these players don't manage to get another club, Chelsea is ready to send them on loan until their contract runs down. I don't think they're expecting
yeah,
to really make money from these
no,
players.
and again, and even with Chelsea, say like Christopher Nkunku, for example, that towards the back end of last season, he was not playing well enough. He stopped playing for Chelsea entirely. I think he was injured as well. But you have the Club World Cup where you somehow brought him back into the team and he's playing well in that Club World Cup. He had good games in that Club World Cup. So you've showcased his ability. Even a guy like the other guy, Kieran Jusby Hall, he doesn't necessarily start
Yeah,
games, but whenever he plays, you see what he brings to that Chelsea team. So I don't think Chelsea will have any problem selling any of those two players. I think Okuku's
yeah,
biggest issue should be the wages. But when you have these guys on big wages, and you've made it clear as loud as possible that they don't fit into your plan, they don't fit into the team, you don't want them around. You basically kick them out again, which is fine. You can do that, but when you then come back and almost sort of backtrack from that situation, like okay, if we can't sell them, we'll find a way to bring them back into the team. I think it's I think it's wild. And again, it goes back to the whole thing where like I think a lot of things can be true at the same time. So these players at United are not good enough. I don't think tactically the coaching is good enough. The culture of that club has been bad from the ownership as well. So when you put all this together, you have this situation where it's it's a mess, and I don't know how to fix it because again, even in that same press conference, you see Amorim like, oh, we have to be willing to suffer again, and like suffer like we suffered last season, we finished
That
15th.
season, yeah, yeah.
How much more suffering can we suffer? We finished 15th.
And this
No
is
no no
where
wait
this
wait wait. We finished 15th. We lost the cup final to Tottenham of all teams. How much more suffering do you want? It's
this is where I have a problem with him, and this is where I struggle with him is that the most precious to me in the whole team, the most precious whatever treasure or player they have is Lenny Euro and then Meno. And the
yeah.
way he's treated Meno, he hasn't come openly to say Meno is not part of his team. But it's like he's not part of the team. Because now I'm looking at it, seems he's going to play Fernandez in midfield instead of playing because if you have Mbuemo, you have Konya, you are looking at a striker. That means Fernandez has to drop deep to play midfield to create. Maybe he can do it. He struggled in in the Europa League final in that position. But now, who are you partnering him with? Maybe he has Ericsson, maybe he has Casemiro, maybe he has
No,
Ugarte.
there's Ugarte Ericsson has left. Ugarte then you okay then if you then come back to the Casemiro and Ugarte, Casemiro is only at that club because they've not found a way to sell him. That's the only reason why he's at that club. He's not there because he's not there on merit. Ugarte is a very good ball winner, but I don't think his passing terms he's not a good passer. He's not a good passer in midfield. So all those the combination it doesn't really make sense. I think that best midfielder is Meno. But for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to cross or it doesn't. I, was, I think I don't think he fancies Meno in that position because he's tried him as a number 9, tried him as a number 10, but he's tried him everywhere but his actual position as a midfielder. And when you have all these things going, because when you have all these things going on, and it's also again we always seem to forget one guy when we talk about United, Mason Mount. Where does Mason Mount fit into this
Oh,
team?
yeah, yeah,
What,
yeah. He's fit now, right?
where Yeah,
He's fit,
It's
right?
fit for now. It's fit for now. How does that's why I say like okay, I think that's why I say they have bigger issues than in actual. The last thing they need is adding another body into this team for big money. Like because again, if you can get Jackson on loan, take it. If you can get an Oli Watkins in on a swap situation with Aston Villa, say Galacco goes that way or Sancho goes that way, you get Watkins, something like that. It makes sense. But if you want to, because I think if you line up, they have no European football next season. If you can get in Buemo, Cunha, I expect them to score a lot of Premier League goals between two of them. And if you add Bruno Fernandes, who always finds a way to get a goal, you have three guys that are capable of scoring 10 plus Premier League goals. Just off rip already. If you can sort out that midfield, sort out the defense, and if Onana does not throw the ball in, you have the makings of a good team. But the problem then the bigger issue becomes how tactically how does it solve the equation of how do United control games? How do they play busy? How do they play possession football? How can they play possession football with Casemiro, Ugarte? It's because again they have good players, and even these guys who got Cunha and Cunha, for example, is the guy that's overperformed this XG by a huge number last season. So can he is a player I like, but can he repeat his season next season at United?
Hmm. Okay, let's go to the next one. Rashford. Let's go to the next one, Rashford. What do you think about Rashford move to what do you think about Rashford move to Barcelona?
I love it. 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 For him, I think for him as a player, it's a welcome break from the whole it's like the whole mess that is Manchester United Football Club, and it's a welcome departure from the whole toxic environment that the British media has, or the toxic storm the British media has whipped up around him. I think it's good for him to, because again, like a lot of people, the way they've talked, the way they've spoken about Rashford in the last couple of years, it's been borderline. It's been, you know what? It's been racist. Let's just keep it real. Like the way it just is racism. They don't talk about the football. They talk about everything but the football, and they talk down on the player that's like they talk down on him like he's almost talentless. But when in reality, this is still a guy that I think Rashford is as good as any white player in the world right now. But the problem is when you stay at United too long, you lose your way. You can't find your way. So if Rashford can one, if he can get his fitness back, if he can stay fit at Barcelona, find the motivation again to perform. And if one of those guys gets injured, say Rafinha gets injured, and Rashford gets a way to start for that team, I expect it to cause damage. Like because even if you look at team statistics, like you look at the statistics at the short stay at Aston Villa, I know it wasn't impressive, but for a 6 month loan, that was he really I think he really performed over there. Unfortunately, they couldn't keep him, but I think when you go to Barcelona, this Barcelona with Hansi Flick, the way they attack, the way they score goals, the way they create chances, I think a guy like Rashford can eat that, can make a name for himself at Barca. So I think I'm really happy for him, really happy.
Last season, the stats for more context for our viewers. Last season, some of his stats were impressive. Some, not all. 46% shot accuracy, that is massive.
Yeah,
46% shot accuracy. 1.01 shots on target, that's a little bit good. 27% crossing, that is good. 0.22 expected assists. I looked at Issa. Expected assist was 0.12. Rashford is 0.22 expected assist. That is very, very high. If you look at wins, I think it was wins who has that sort of expected assist,
yeah,
like 0.2 something. That is,
yeah. But
but the
it's,
goals too, they're like goals in like I think is it 6 goals? 6 goals in last season. I think 6 goals and one assist for Villa in like 12 games or 13 games or something like that. It was I wasn't really to me I was impressed a lot because he didn't play for a lot of games. So
yeah.
sometimes when you meet Man
He had only 4 starts at Villa and 10 appearances, but in that short amount of time, his non-penalty XG and assist is 0.92. That is really high. So even
so
and if you look at the eye test, the performance against Chelsea, I think he scored
non-penalty assist
sorry,
non-penalty assist is what.
not 0.46.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
So it's
But
and like
yeah, finish up.
so but I think for me, I think the two biggest worries I have are, I think is because we started picking up injuries here and there in the last, even at Villa. I think he ended the season quite early because he got injured. So I think if he can stay fit, I really feel he will contribute to Barca. He will really, really, really contribute. And he's also taking he's taking the number 14 shirt at Barca is famed by Thierry Henry and the Dutch legend Johan Cruyff. So I think that's good. That's a good omen for him. But at the same time, that number 14 was also won by Joao Felix in recent history. So take from that, take from that what you want.
It's a win-win for Barca. I don't see how they lose because,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
of all,
It's a
that
win-win.
that shows you how big Barca is. They negotiated. They took a 20% pay cut. His salary went from 300,000. I forgot if it's pounds or euros to 14
Pounds.
million euros right now. So he's earning 263 million, 263,000 euros every week from
Yeah,
more than 300 from more than 300 thousand dollars. That means it took like $50,000 weekly $50,000 weekly for your paycheck or 40,000 weekly for your paycheck is massive. It's massive. So Baka
Yeah,
were able to convince him, and it's so good that even if the deal doesn't happen and he goes back to Manchester United, he doesn't go back to what he was being paid before. He goes back to what
yeah,
he just agreed right now.
yeah, and again with him because I think his contract with United is coming. I think he's got 2 more years, two more years left on that contract. So even I just wanted to perform because again it's also a World Cup year. If you can perform well and get back into the English national team, that'd be amazing for him as well. Because I think he was in the first. I think it was in the first squad Thomas Tuchel put out. Because again, he's still on his day in terms of players that can play on that left, that can score goals, create goals. I think Rashford is as good as any of them right now. But the problem is not he's not had very good days often enough recently. So good luck to him.
Who played on that during the Euros? It was Foden, right?
Uh, it was no, it was what was it? It it
They had they
it was
had
it was
Saka, Foden,
it was
and
Foden.
Bellingham.
Yeah, it was Foden, but it didn't really.
On paper, it's Foden,
It,
but
yeah, it was
on
Foden,
paper,
but on
it's
the
Foden.
yeah, it's all. But again, it wasn't. It's Southgate England. It wasn't really cohesive. It was
Because
very weird.
on his day in the 4-2-3-1, on his day, if he returns to the Rashford that he was, Rashford of old, it's going to be Rashford to me. If everybody plays so well this season, it's going to be Rashford on the left, Palmer in the center, Saka on the right. Bellingham has to go deep and partner. Declan Rice.
Hmm.
Then they have a striker. They said they want to play him as a first line. They have a striker, maybe only Walkers. I don't know who they're going to start.
No,
Maybe Delap. I don't
no,
know.
Kane, no, well, Hurricane. They have a Hurricane.
But I think he's been underwhelming for England recently.
No,
That's to me. He's been
no,
playing so
like, I think I see the point you're making, but I think with him is also some of the performances have not been. They've not been what you expect, but also the goals have not gone away. He's still scoring goals for England. So
yeah.
until I think with Kane, if until Kane stops scoring goals, he will always play for England and he will start for the club as well. But again, and I think tactically, just before we go, I think tactically the way Barca utilized Rafinha last season, it was more of he almost played as a second striker in a way off Lewandowski. It wasn't a touchline winger per se. So if you can get Rashford in that situation where he's attacking spaces, like again, like imagine the true balls from Yamal, Pedri, like this. I think I expect. I don't want to go crazy, but I'm expecting 20 goals or comps from Rashford this season.
It's going to be. I say it's on I say
The
it's very, very. It's going to be a massive success this season in Barcelona. I'm
yeah,
100%. This
yeah,
season, I didn't say for
I think
Barcelona going forward. I said just this season because
yeah,
Rashford
yeah,
has a
I think.
history of turning before a major tournament. He has the motivation of this World Cup. He took a pay cut, more than 20% pay cut to play for Barcelona. He's ready to do everything just to wear that shirt. So I don't. He's ready
And
to even shine
no,
his shoes or whatever to do anything to be in that team.
no,
I'm sure
and
it will be a success
and and
this season.
and again, and again, all that's true. But again, also probably the probably a great motivator is trying to prove what people wrong because Rashford has a lot of people that have doubted him. He needs. Because I bet you a lot of people are waiting for him to just go there, underperform, they send him back, and like, okay, yeah, we said it, like he's finished, he's done. But I want him to go there, show his talent, execute it, and have a good season there.
Okay, friend, that should be all for today. If you're
Yeah.
joining us,
Uh,
don't forget the like button.
I'll
Thanks a
miss
lot
some of
for
them.
everybody.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.